Hey guys, this is Aaron Farmer with mysugarfreejourney.com, and something happened this week that I thought was pretty interesting. I want to talk to you about it. Um, so during an interview on Dr. Phil, of all places, um, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK was asked by an audience member what his advice was on vaccine safety. And his response was, and I thought this was a good quote: "We live in a democracy, and part of the responsibility of being a parent is to do your own research. You research the baby stroller, you research the foods that they're getting, and you need to research the medicines that they're taking as well." That's a fantastic quote. It's definitely something that I agree with, that I've agreed with, for my entire adult life. Um, but my issue with this is, how exactly are we supposed to do that? Virtually every mechanism that consumers use to research every other product on the market is totally absent when it comes to vaccines. For instance, let's talk about three things. Number one, comparison research. If you want to research a stroller, it's a very straightforward process. I can go type stroller comparisons into Google. I can have my pick of hundreds of sites that will walk me through stroller features, how they're rated for safety, how they're rated for price. I can see customer reviews. I can see what other parents that bought the same stroller, what they thought of the stroller. There's a ton of information on strollers out there, and that can help me make my decision. But where is that for vaccines? Are there multiple types of MMR vaccines? How about lot numbers? Do some lot numbers have less complications than other lot numbers? When I was doing some research for this, I found out that there was a couple lot numbers that were recalled of the MMR vaccine because it actually caused an outbreak of mumps instead of vaccinating against mumps. How long were those lots? How many people got the lots that caused the mumps outbreak before they were recalled and before they were pulled from the doctor's offices? How many lots are out there right now causing problems that we just don't have any way of knowing about? There's no there's no easily accessible and understandable way to compare vaccines, and even if there were, what difference would it make? Uh, you know, if I can't find a stroller that works for me, I'll just carry my kid everywhere. Um, but if I can't find a vaccine that works for me, well, then what? I mean, I can't enroll my kids in public school. There are pediatricians that won't see my kids, unless I vaccinate them. How do you, as a parent, navigate that problem and actually do the research to figure out what vaccines are safe, what vaccines aren't? How do you do that? I have no idea. Um, Number two, safety research. If I buy a stroller and that stroller has a higher percentage of injuries than what is normal for a stroller, there's a there's a standardized process for what follows. The parents file lawsuits against the company. In response to that, the companies usually issue a recall order for the stroller. They get those strollers off the market. They pull them off the store shelves, and they're very responsive to customer complaints like that. We had a baby swing one time. It was like a little bouncer, and it was recalled. And all we had to do was cut the straps on the swing so that the swing was unusable. And then I think all we did was just take a picture of the cut straps and send it into the company, and they sent us a replacement. It was a very quick and easy process. Um, so why are those companies so responsive to customer complaints, so quick to solve the problems that come up? Is because they know they're on the hook for liability for any problems that the products cause. They know that they are putting the profits and possibly the future of the company at risk if they don't solve the problems quickly. They have a financial incentive to solve these problems. They have entire departments at these huge companies dedicated to putting out the safest problems that they possibly can because they know there's a giant financial incentive to do that. But since the 80s, Big Pharma has had almost total liability protections for all their vaccine products. In fact, they're so protected that our government set up a vaccine court where if you are injured by a vaccine, you can file a complaint at the vaccine court. And if you do prove that you're injured by the vaccine, which I found out only about a third of complainants win, so your chances of actually winning are pretty low. But if you do prove that you were injured by a vaccine, your payout comes courtesy of the American taxpayer, and you don't actually win the case. What happens is these cases are you get a negotiated settlement, and part of the negotiation, in almost 100% of the cases that I could find, you have to sign an NDA, so you can't tell the American people, the other 350 million people that we share this country with, that there's a problem with this vaccine because if you want to get your money, you legally uh, can't reveal that there was a problem with the vaccine. Uh, if our car companies had the same level of liability protections as Big Pharma does, we would all still be driving around in Ford Pintos that explode into fireballs when you rear end them. In short, there's almost no way of holding these pharmaceutical companies liable for putting defective products out to market. So there's no incentive for them to iterate. There's no incentive for them to constantly improve their products. There's no incentive to make them constantly, improve and make our health better. They can put out almost anything and not have to worry about it costing them money on the back end because there's 100% liability protection for them. How can we how can we do our research in this kind of environment where there's no way to know, if a vaccine is dangerous? um you just have to kind of take everybody's word for it. And what about the future? The third way that researching strollers and vaccines are different is the chances of putting your kid into the wrong stroller as a baby, and that stroller causing a health issue in the baby 20 years down the road, 20, 30 years down the road, is virtually non-existent. But if you give your kid an MMR vaccine, I have no doubt that that vaccine will reduce the rates of them getting measles or mumps or rubella. Actually, there's a new MMR vaccine that also protects against chickenpox, which I didn't know about. Um, but will it increase the chances that they get autism, that they get asthma, that they get autoimmune diseases, that they get all these other issues that we've seen increase over the last 3, 4, 5 decades? And until RFK showed up, no one was even looking into this issue. No one seemed to care. Um, we know that we're living in an absolutely unprecedented explosion in long-term chronic disease. What's causing that? Now, my personal belief is the vast majority of the problems the chronic diseases that we're seeing is from our food supply. I really do think that our food supply is so screwed up that's what's causing most of the problems. But are vaccines causing part of the problem? Does maybe part of the reason our food supply has such a terrible impact on us is because our immune systems have already been weakened by the dozens of vaccines that we give our children? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Um, so what are we supposed to do? I don't know. I really don't. The only thing that I'm grateful for is that for the first time in my lifetime, it looks like somebody's actually looking into the problem. Somebody seems to care. And I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if he's going to succeed. I don't know if he's what he's going to find. I don't know. I don't know. But I am grateful that there's somebody actually looking into the problem. So again, RFK, I wish you well. I hope you figure out what's going on here. And man, I I hope I wish nothing but success for what you're doing for America. Thanks, guys. Again, Aaron Farmer with mysugarfreejourney.com. Y'all have a good day.